Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, a retired librarian turned homeschool mom, and in this video we're going to look at this book. So, this is Opal Lee and What It Means to Be Free. Now, this is probably the newest book I've ever reviewed on the channel. I'm not joking. This is being filmed on January 24th of 2022. This came out on the 11th of this month. So, this is brand new. I happen to have found it at Costco today, which is the reason I got a little bit earlier than I thought. And I didn't have to buy it off Amazon. So Opal Lee and What It Means to Be Free is the true story of the grandmother of Juneteenth. Now, if you're not familiar with Juneteenth, which I was not, never heard of it before it became a national holiday. But again, I grew up in Hawaii. That's where my childhood was. And I'm pretty sure Arizona was ignoring it. So, never heard of it until it became a national holiday last year. So, but what Juneteenth was on this day that essentially, and we'll bring it to the back because it gives information on what it is in the back of what this is. It's a holiday celebrating the freedom of all African slaves. And what we mean by all in this case is Lincoln declared here we go. The Emancipation Proclamation on September 27th, 1862. That's when he said he was going to do it. And then he signed it into effect on January 1st, 1863. Now, did this really do anything? No. They were in the middle of the Civil War. But once the Civil War ended, when Lee surrenders on April 9th, 1865, pretty much all the slaves in the American South are free. Problem is, Texas, being Texas, is a giant state in the middle of bloody nowhere. So, and they're white, basically, their slaves didn't know what was going on. And basically the white owners were not going to let them know until they absolutely had to. So what happened on Juneteenth, on June 19th, 1865, General Gordon Granger shows up in Galveston, Texas, and reads the Emancipation Proclamation. So basically declaring in Texas, you're all free. Basically freeing the slaves of the state of Texas, because obviously word spread that they were no longer enslaved. So on June 19th, 1865, essentially all these slaves in the United States were officially free. So what this story tells, besides this basic story of Juneteenth, and my annoying cat, and her, the calico has gotten to the left. I'd show her to you, but she'd bite me. So, besides the fact that these illustrations are gorgeous. So you have this woman whose name is Opal Lee, and yes, she exists. This is a real person. Hopefully, she's like 96 at this point. So, starts at a celebration, a Juneteenth celebration, and you have all these children. And her grandson comes up to her and asks her, tell us a story. So, she tells a story of slavery and how they were owned and made to work and couldn't enjoy the fruits of their labor. And then she talks about how Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. But Texas was pretty much in the middle of nowhere and very, very big and miles away from Lincoln, so they didn't know. So they continued to be in bondage. Technically, so did most black slaves, in the South anyway, until the Civil War ended. And then it shows the story of how this general came to town and pretty much shouted it to the world. It's like, by the way, you're free. The Civil War is over. We won, and slavery is done. So, and talks about the rejoicing. And these are the stories that Opal Lee's grandfather would have told her. His mother was born into slavery. So, her great-grandmother was a slave. And so, she is telling this story that she heard from her own grandfather. But then her grandson asks, what was it like when she was young? And she talks about the Jim Crow South. because she grew up in Fort Worth, Texas, and how everything was segregated and they were only allowed in the zoo once a year on Juneteenth. But she talks about the good times, how she explored on her grandfather's farm, and she read. And then on Juneteenth, 1939, a bunch of white people came. Her family had just bought a new home in a predominantly white area, and they burned it because they were afraid. And she says an angry white mob with flaming sticks burned the family's brand new house. Their broken minds and evil hearts were so afraid of black progress, and the police force did nothing. So she learned a lesson on that day, that freedom is a golden coin. Struggle makes it shine. That's what it says. And basically, she talks about the civil rights movement and how you keep teaching, how I will keep teaching, keep reaching, keep walking, and keep talking. Now, Opal Lee walked across the United States getting signatures, trying to make this a national holiday. This is what she did. And it finished, unfortunately, in 2020. Not exactly the best years. So, but essentially, and now she talks about how it is a holiday. And she sees the children hugging each other. This is probably one of my favorite photos in this entire book, is all these children. Black, brown, bronze, gold, tan, white, and freckles. Because this is the way it should be. This is really the way it should be. People should not be being judged by the color of their skin or treated differently by the color of their skin. Actually, that's not the way it is. But she talks about freedom. She talks about children. And how this is the way it should be. And that is the end of the book. She gives a recipe at the end, which is kind of interesting. It's essentially trying to be slightly healthier. So in Texas, they have a big bottled soft drink called Big Red, or red soda water. And she gives a recipe for what amounts to be a strawberry lemonade as an alternative to soda, essentially. It actually looks like a very, very good recipe. It contains fresh strawberries and either lemonade concentrate or fresh squeezed lemon juice and 7 cups of water. And then you just blend it all together. Actually looks very, very good. But then you have the Juneteenth, you have the history in the back here. And it talks about Opal Lee herself. So this is the woman that they're speaking about, the grandmother of Juneteenth, who worked for a very, very long time. So she walked from 2016 to 2020. She walked across America, collected more than 1.5 million signatures for a petition to Congress to get Juneteenth to be a national holiday. It's been a holiday in Texas since, let's see, let's see, where the heck is it? Because I know it became a holiday in Texas prior to this. Does she state this? Let's see. Yeah, 1980, January 1st, 1980, Juneteenth became an official state holiday across Texas. By 2020, 47 American states celebrated Juneteenth as a state holiday or state observance. I never heard of it. Mind you, I'm in American out west, so very conservative, probably not really caring. So she worked, and I read the Wikipedia on her. She worked with the Obama campaign. She's been very political. She's gone to college. She graduated high school at 16. She got married. She got divorced. She had 5 kids. She did a lot of stuff. And she was a teacher, and she retired in the 70s and became political after that. And was fighting to get this as a national holiday. When she was 94 years old, just as last year, President Joe Biden signed into legislation making Juneteenth a national holiday, commemorating the end of American slavery. This is an amazing book. There's a reason I bought it, and the reason it's been sitting on my list to do until it came out. The illustrations are gorgeous. I'm probably going to be removing the dust cover because I have a toddler. I will do that now. Let's see. Yeah, thankfully it's one of those that has the cover on the back. So, always nice. This is, again, the same cover without the dust cover, and the back is the same. So, and this is the back. Again, absolutely amazing illustrations. Gorgeous story. Very much simplifies what this is to the younger kids. This is definitely why it can be kind of for older kids. I always recommend children's picture books just because the art is amazing to look at. But it explains the story in a simplest way for the little kids to understand what this is really all about. It's about celebrating freedom and how, at least commemoratively, on June 19th, this is the day we celebrate African Americans no longer being in bondage. Now, do we have a heck of a lot of work to do? Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's still, the nightmares that are still going on that I even recognize. But we're closer than we were when this first happened. They have the right, the African Americans have the right to vote, though, you know, it's not always easy. But they're better than they were when they were enslaved. We'll say that. But there's a big struggle. But this is a day of celebration. This book very much explains with its amazing art what this day means. Why on earth, for the first time in my lifetime, we've created a new national holiday. So, and again, the illustrations are very well done. They're extremely realistic. And the story is simple. It's not that long a book. You could definitely probably read it maybe at nighttime if you want to do it. It's a little on the long side. I think it's about 32 pages. It doesn't give page numbers. So, and it talks about this history. So, it's a great book to read around Juneteenth. It's a great book to read anytime you're looking at the history of America. This is a vital book, essentially for explaining to the children. We're talking early elementary, maybe even all of elementary. I think even 6th graders would get something out of this. And it's a great book to share with your family. I would even recommend it. I enjoy it. It's a good explanation for what is going on and what happened in the series of events that took place. So that is really it for this review. Highly recommend this book. As I do most of the books I review on, particularly African American history, I found a lot of gems doing this channel. So, for a lot of things. So, if you like what you see, be sure to like and subscribe. I have quite a few books on African American history, all written by African Americans. That's kind of my rule when I look at books. But for minorities is I find books that are authored by said minorities because they're the ones who are going to have the most accurate viewpoint. So, and this is, if I didn't do the author, the words are by Alice Faye Duncan, and the art is by, and I cannot pronounce his first name, Keturah A. Bobo. So, so those are the authors. We're both African American, and both African American women specifically. So, again, that is my rule when it comes to these types of books. When I'm doing books on minorities, I specifically find authors that are in fact part of that group. So I also cover a lot of stuff. I do book series. I do fun films. I do documentary stuff. We are doing some travel stuff as we get traveling again. This is 2022. We're still in COVID. It doesn't want to go away. We're hoping to travel. We're crossing our fingers. We're hoping to travel and to add more of that stuff. And some educational stuff. My daughter is just about 2.5 at the time of this filming. She'll be about a month away from 3 by the time you guys see this. So we're going to start coming into 2022 later in the year. I may cover some more curriculum stuff. We'll see. But again, my child's going to be 3, so this is early stuff. We may start covering some more educational stuff. I have at least one board game probably going to be filmed. But otherwise, be sure to check out the rest of the channel. I have a wide variety of book reviews. and film reviews. Already up. I always do. I have a bunch of stuff for African Americans. I do, like a lot of people, I cover Black History Month in February. So I have a couple of videos. I also cover Asian American History Month back there. And now, I think, or it could have been May. Again, I have quite a few videos here, and these are not filmed in order. So be sure to like and subscribe, leave a positive comment if you have one, and check out the channel. Thank you.